You're in the trenches with Dave Lapham and also Cordell Volson, brought to you by First Star Logistics. And we're talking with the Bengals rookie offensive lineman out of North Dakota State. Balfour, North Dakota. Born and raised. Population, 27. Yes, you heard right. 27. Talk about a small town guy makes good. This guy is a superhero in Balfour, North Dakota. And he's a heck of a kid, I'll tell you. Great success at North Dakota State. And I think he's going to be playing for the Cincinnati Bengals for a long time. He has a tremendous perspective on the game of football and life in general. Cordell Volson, kind of guy you'd like to meet your daughter. No doubt about it. Welcome once again to In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. Always, as always, in our studio, our beautiful studio here at First Star Logistics. And going along with our theme In the Trenches here, most recently, we've had LC, and now we've got CV. Cordell Volson joins us. And Cordell, thank you. Appreciate your time. I know there's a lot going on, a lot of information. A lot of it's coming like out of a fire hose, man. It's coming fast and furious. How's it been going for you here during camp?
It's been going really well. Coach Pollack is a phenomenal coach, and I've been learning a lot from him and vets in our room. Speaking of LC and Ted and Jonah, just some guys that have really been helping me along.
You're a big man. You got a big frame. You're a good solid 6'6" plus, it looks like to me. And what, 315, 320 pounds, somewhere in that range?
That's exactly right.
So, I mean, your frame, obviously, you've played both tackle and guard. You play predominantly tackle, but right now the Bengals have you working at the guard position. No problem there, I assume?
No, it's been going really well. I played quite a bit of it throughout my career in college, so have some familiarity with it. But it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. You're putting your hand in the dirt and you're lining up and playing football. No
doubt, no question about it. And you talked about Frank Pollack and what a great coach he is. I mean, he's a technician now. He teaches very, very fine fundamental technique. There's no doubt about it. His comment about you is you have plenty of toughness and plenty of power to play anywhere in the offensive line, including inside. So no concerns, obviously, from that standpoint. He thinks a lot of you as a football player. So the respect is mutual, which is the way it should be. And as a former lineman, I can only say congratulations on, first of all, being drafted in the National Football League, and secondly, having an offensive line coach that can impact you in a very, very positive way for your first NFL experience like Frank Pollack. I mean, there's nothing like having that type of a coach to build your foundation to success in the National Football League.
Yeah, it's, he's been great so far. I've enjoyed every second that, we've been together, and, I can already tell that he's going to make me such a better football player. And I'm excited for that. Just to have somebody like that that's going to, push me and, coach me and teach me. It's a great situation for me to be in with a great coach like that. I have had such a great experience with him so far, and just looking forward to continuing to, build a relationship with him and like I said, learn and get taught from him.
Let's go back to this part of it'll be, this is your sports life, Cordell. Okay. Let's go back to the high school days. Balfour, North Dakota, population of 27. Man, how many in your graduating class?
So I graduated with 13.
Is that right?
That's right.
13. almost half the population was in no, you graduated with 13, and that's from Drake Animus High School?
That is correct.
Okay. Were you valedictorian?
I was not. I was not. That's a sad statistic, but I was not.
What a way to grow up, though. What a great experience. I mean, you know everybody in your town. I mean, it's like a big neighborhood. Your town is just like living in a big neighborhood, right?
Yeah, I mean, shoot, it was awesome growing up there. Like you said, I knew everybody growing up, and you're just so close with everyone. You grew up with the 13 kids that I graduated with. Went to kindergarten with them. Maybe there's one or two here or there that maybe left or someone new moved in, but you knew everyone in your class and had a really good relationship with them. And you knew everyone in the school as well.
Sure.
So it was a really cool experience growing up. Definitely wouldn't change the way I was brought up. That's for sure.
So you had 9-man football, and you played offensive line, defensive line, tight end, fullback, linebacker. You punted, you place kicked. Did you sell popcorn and pour Coke as well? Did you do everything?
It was just whatever I needed to do to help us win football games. That was what I was there to do. So I guess in my situation, I didn't even think about it,
Right.
And now that you just list those off, it's holy smokes. I played a lot of different positions, but you just when you're growing up, all you want to do is play football, and wherever you could help the team win was where you wanted to be, and that's the same mindset that I've had throughout my whole career. Is as long as it's an opportunity to play football, whether it's tackle, guard, shoot, center, tight end, D line, whatever it is, as long as you're playing ball, that's the most important thing.
I'll tell you what, I can't imagine how excited the population of Balfour, North Dakota is that their pride and joy, Cordell Volson, not only got a scholarship to North Dakota State, but has been drafted and signed by the Cincinnati Bengals, who are defending AFC champions in the National Football League. I mean, you're a living legend. I mean, you must be. When you go home, do they have ticket tape parades for you or what?
No, I mean, I wake up in the morning, I put my pants on one leg at a time, just like everyone else. But the support back home is unbelievable. Really appreciative of those people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice little getaway. When I was in college, even when I could get the opportunity to come home and just get away a little bit, it was great. And I'm sure I won't stop doing that when I get the opportunity, just to go back home and clear my mind a little bit and be away from people. And one of the cool things is you can go to the cafe or the bar or whatever, and you can have a meal or a drink, and you can talk about fishing or hunting or just the weather. You don't have to talk about football 24/7. Because as an athlete, you're a person as well. You have, obviously your passion is playing football, but there's other things that interest you as well. So when you have that downtime and to be able to take full advantage of that, to clear your mind mentally as well is a huge benefit, and something that I think is good to do from time to time.
Well, I would imagine that, not that you can't afford it, but I bet when you go to that restaurant, to that bar, you go back home, you're not going to be paying for much, man. It's going to be like, we got Cordell, we got our guy here. We're going to take care of our guy. People will be all excited to have you at their establishment. I'm more than sure about that. What other sports did you take part in? When you were in your early years, your childhood years, and your high school years.
Yeah, so growing up, played T-ball, Little League baseball, that stuff until 7th grade, and then we actually didn't have our own team. We were co-opted with a town down the road. So
Sure.
I kind of hung up the mitt and quit playing baseball, but was really a big basketball player. I played a lot of hoops. From started in 5th grade, and just played throughout high school. Honestly, I was probably a better hooper in high school than I was a football football player.
Huh.
But
Did you have scholarships? You have basketball scholarships as well?
I had some small NAIA stuff.
Cool.
A little bit of Division II interest, but
Yeah.
I knew that football was the route that I wanted to go.
Yep.
Obviously, having an opportunity to go to North Dakota State, being a North Dakota guy, and that's like the professional team calling you when you get a scholarship to North Dakota State when you're a North Dakota guy. So having that opportunity, and getting to go there and win 4 national championships and make some great memories and build some really great relationships. It was a great experience there for me, and obviously it helped put me in the position I'm at today.
Boy, I'll tell you, 65 games, 41 straight starts over your last 3 years, 5 conference championships, 4 national championships. Like you said, you had that 6th year because of COVID, a 6-year career there. I mean, you're a living legend at North Dakota State as well. There's no question about that. The successes that you've that you had there. What was it? What is it about North Dakota State? I mean, year after year after year, they're just the very best at what they do. I mean, they really get after it.
Yeah, it's funny. I get asked that question often. And the first thing that comes to my mind is just it's different. From the way that everyone handles their business, to the type of people that are within the program, and then one of the biggest things that I think really stands out is the relationship that guys have with each other. Everyone always talks about on a team being a family, but at North Dakota State, it is an actual, you're a part of something bigger than yourself. It is an actual, it's an actual family. I've seen some of the most talented kids come into North Dakota State and not make it past, week 2, week 3, just because they couldn't put their ego aside, to put the interest of the team ahead of theirs. And another thing that I think of it is truly a player-driven program. And that's not just current players, that's alumni, that's, people that have put on the green and gold. But, as a player there, you're more scared of your teammates when you make a mistake than you are of your coaches. Because that you're letting that guy down. And I think that comes back to the family, cohesion that we have, because it's just like, you don't want to let your brother down. And that is the actual, feeling that you have at North Dakota State. And I think that's what really separates us is that true relationship that we have with each other and playing for something bigger than ourselves.
And you hit on something that I found to be the case in successful teams that I played for in my younger years. It's like when it's the players control their own destiny. It's self-policed. The locker room is self-policed. It's not the coaches. It's not dictated down by the coaches. It's like the players saying, "Look, this is how we want to do things, and you're disrupting it. We need you to step in line with us, just like everybody else." When you have that, when you have a locker room of multiple leaders, that are going to take control of the destiny of the football team and not rely on the coaches to do it, I think that's huge. And I think that's pretty much what you're talking about as well. I mean, I think when the players buy in and are all in like that, it's powerful, isn't it?
It's the most special thing there is. It's everyone pulling the rope in the same direction. It's not, you don't have the handful of guys, you know, that are fighting against it. And
Yep.
in those guys that are fighting against it, they don't stick around very long.
True. Very true. So, I mean, you ran a lot of two backs, two tight ends, two backs, even three tight ends. You guys smashed people. I mean, you guys were a physical offensive football team. Do you like that physicality, you know, run blocking? Do you enjoy pass protection? Do you like the challenges of both? What floats your boat as an offensive lineman?
You know, obviously, being an offensive lineman, you love to run the football.
No
You know, you as a former lineman, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
big time.
There's no better feeling than moving a man from point A to point B against their will. You
Yep.
know, but as far as the offensive scheme and offensive system, everything goes. It's, you know, I think there's a certain skill set to being a good pass blocker. And, you know, that is something that, you know, really interests me and really, you know, kind of motivates me, is just being, because pass blocking is such an art. You have to be such a technician, you know, and that's something that really interests me. And, you know, I'm excited about, and to continue to learn and develop new tools for the toolbox.
Right.
You know, really excited for that as well.
Yeah, I looked at run blocking as, okay, now I'm the puncher. I looked at pass protection as, now I'm the counter puncher. You know, I have to react and respond to what, you know, they're trying to knock. Back then, head slaps were legal. They could, you know, try to break your eardrum by smashing your ear hole and all that kind of stuff. And it was like, man, I got to figure out a way to counter this stuff. But it definitely is a challenge. You know, the other thing that intrigued me about you is back, I'm talking, you know, in the 60s, the late 60s, and actually the late 60s, what I'm talking about. When I was in high school, we didn't have a weight room, you know, so and weightlifting wasn't like a real big thing back then. So I was like, lied about my age at 13 years old and moved furniture, work construction, you know, concrete forms, peeling off the concrete forms, loading them on the truck with concrete in them, you know, putting them over my head, military pressing them, you know, and I would bench press them and do these different things. And you're like, your dad had a company when railroad accidents happened and trains came off the track. Your dad had a company to put them back on the track. And you did a lot of that, you know, brute strength, lifting and moving things. And to me, that overall body strength that I got by moving furniture and doing construction paid huge dividends to me. Did it for you as well? I mean, did your overall body strength just go off the charts when you were doing, and tell us some of the things you were doing when you were working with your dad?
Yeah, you know, I think that you know, that blue collar, you know, labor, that type of work, you know, you learn to control your body in such a different way. You know, you learn, you know, the most efficient way, the easiest way to lift something or to move something, you know, because you're doing it all day. You don't want to make it any harder than it needs to be.
Right on.
You know, so I think that really helped me understand how to use my body. Helps with, you know, leverage, angles, things like that. And you know, some of the things that really is that we would do on these derailments, or that we still do. So we use excavators, like a track backhoe, and so we will, you know, lift and move debris, and then we'll bring in, they're called emergency panels. They're 53-foot long chunks of pre-assembled rails. So they already have the ties in them, the rails all put together. So now we're using these excavators to put the rail where it belongs. But as you know, if you pick up something, it's not just going to stay, you know, when you have these big chains that weigh a couple 100 pounds a piece, and you have 4 of them on there. So now when we swing around with the excavator, we're taking the chains, we're hooking them up. And now when we pick up this panel, the panel wants to swing, you know, because you're not stable. So you're on one end and you're holding this 53-foot long, chunk of rail, you're holding it to prevent it from swinging around.
Yep.
And then as we're lowering it down into place, you're pushing it to get it lined up. And people are like, oh, that's probably, you can't do that. But obviously it's not, it doesn't weigh, a lot of the weight's off of it, and you're more guiding it than you are actually. But still, when you have 8,000 pounds hanging there, it still takes some work to move it. So that was one of the main, physical things that we would do. The big thing is just throwing those big chains around. You're getting to 200, 300, 400 pounds of chain that you're throwing around. And you're hooking it up to one machine, and then you're dragging it over, hooking it up to another machine. All that type of stuff, and throwing railroad ties out of the way, throwing new railroad ties in. There's all kinds of things that go into it. And it's just not even just railroad stuff. We do heavy construction, excavating, so now you're down in a hole, you're putting in sewers, you're putting in pipe in the ground, whatever it is, we crush gravel as well. We do aggregate, so now when the cone gets plugged up or the feeder gets plugged up, you hop in there and you shovel the sucker out. So just really all kinds of, physical labor that I grew up doing. And like when we first started talking here, it's definitely something that helped me learn how to, control my body and help develop strength. That's another thing I'm really thankful for, because growing up, it wasn't, go to your personal trainer or any of this stuff. It was you get up, you go to school, you go to practice, and then you come home and you work, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And that was, the way I was brought up. So, 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. was a normal day. It wasn't anything new. So it's just definitely, even beyond the strength side of things, helps your mindset, helps, your work ethic, the way you approach things.
Yep.
And, it's just really gives you that mindset where we can't stop until the job is finished.
Absolutely. I have fond memories of, the first time I was able to put a refrigerator on my back with a strap and walk up 3 flights of stairs, with that refrigerator without any help, and got my legs strong enough to do that. And I'm like, man, this is good work. You feel a sense of accomplishment, and you had to be the same way. Boy, you eat well and you sleep well. I mean, man, you're working hard, and you can't wait to go get a good something to eat. And then at the end of the day, you can't wait to get some rest because you got to get up the next morning and do it all over again, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Unbelievable. Well, I tell you, it's you're a candidate for that opening at the left guard position. There's and not to say that other things can't happen, obviously, but the early on, you have to set a lineup somehow, and that left guard spot is the one that seems to have the biggest competition at it. Is that your target? I mean, are you interested in? I want to see how well I can perform and maybe get that job at the left guard spot.
Yeah, I'd be lying to you if I said it wasn't.
Sure.
As a competitor, you want to, compete and go earn an opportunity. But at the end of the day, I don't think that's something that I need to worry myself with or even really think about. I think every day just show up and go to work and improve and the results will take care of themselves. That's kind of the way I've always gone about myself is just show up one day at a time, put one foot in front of the other and get better. And, at the end of the day, the results are going to take care of themselves.
The other part that is other phases of your overall persona, student athlete, you took that seriously. I mean, academically, you took it very seriously, multiple time captain. of your football team, leadership qualities, took all that very seriously. You proud of those things?
Yeah. I mean, there's a few things that you can control. You know, you can control your attitude and your effort, you know. So if you show up and have the right mindset and you know, you have a great attitude and you give your best effort, you know, all that stuff is you know, just a byproduct. I think just being a good example and being somebody that you know, does it the right way, you know, kind of if I had to give myself kind of a personal, you know, saying or slogan that goes with myself,
Okay.
you know, it would be, you know, show up early, outwork everyone, and make those around you better. You know, like you can control those things. You know, you can control being on time. You can control being early. You can control how hard you work. And if you do those two things, you're going to make the people around you better. You know, so as a leader, as a teammate, that's what the goal is. It is making everyone else around you better, you know, so at the end of the season, you can be where you want to be.
Man, I'll tell you what, your mindset and your approach, you're not the typical rookie now. I mean, you've played a lot of football, and you're a very experienced person, not only as a football player, but you know, as an overall, you know, human being. And I'll tell you, the Bengals are very fortunate to have you in their organization. There's no question about it. That's your slogan right there is a great way for everybody to live their life, you know, whether you're playing football or not. I mean, that's some pretty good stuff right there. That credo is pretty darn strong. So, do you set goals? Did you have, when you went to North Dakota State out of high school, did you have goals and then you have the ultimate goal, but then goals along the way to reward yourself, and pretty soon you're climbing the ladder of success and you're getting to that ultimate goal? And is that how you're approaching your NFL career as well?
Yeah. You know, so I guess when I came to North Dakota State, the big picture goal was, you know, one day I wanted to be playing in the National Football League. Yeah. You know, and it wasn't until I got into college a little bit where I finally started to kind of write those things down and, you know, kind of manage and keep track of what I'm doing to get there and how I'm getting there. Yeah. You know, and that's the same exact, you know, approach that I have, you know, now is obviously I have goals, you know, and I'm going to do whatever I can to achieve those goals. And, you know, I'll be honest, a lot of times the goals that I set are pretty far-fetched if we're being honest.
Sure.
But, you know, I went in, you know, just now that we're talking about it, before this past season started, my senior season at North Dakota State, I went into my head coach's office and I had my list of goals. And we talked about them. I had team goals and then I had individual goals. And we talked about them. And, you know, just having someone else there to hold you accountable to your goals then is pretty, you know, powerful. It helps you, you know, stay focused, because now it's, if you just, you know, have a notebook that you write them in and you don't ever come back on them, you know, are they really goals, or are they just kind of, I'm just going to, you know, put these down here so one day I can look back at them. But if you have a actual plan of attack to go and do those things, like I like to read books. You know, I don't read as much as I'd like, but I try and put away, you know, 10, 15 minutes a day just to read a little bit, you know, just knock a little bit out. And, you know, I write my goals, the goals that I have, I keep in, as I use as my bookmark. So when I open it up, there's my goals right there. First thing I see, and then, you know, kind of last thing I see before I put it back in there. So it just keeps you accountable to yourself, and, you know, keeps you, you know, focused on what the bigger picture is, you know, when you're having a bad day.
I tell you, man, you've been raised right. Your parents have to be proud of you, and the Bengals are definitely excited about what you bring to the table in all areas, my man. There's no question.
At First Star Logistics, we're a very strict company that really puts the pressure on our employees. Brakes? What are those?
That's what I'm talking about, Icky. Get the body right, then the mind's right. You know,
gotta get that body right.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Become a star with a chance to earn the highest commission percentages in the industry as a freight broker agent. Check out firststarlogistics.com.